All indications are that Broncos GM John Elway is going to be a major player in the free agent market. Armed with $57.4 million in cap space, Elway's going to have more than enough ammunition. Don't forget, Elway can add to that substantial war chest by releasing veteran quarterback Joe Flacco. Moving on from Flacco would free up another $10 million on the cap, growing Elway's free agent budget to north of $67 million. The fly in the ointment is the veritable exodus of homegrown talent the Broncos are facing. The expectation is that Justin Simmons will be franchise tagged if no multi-year extension is agreed upon by the two sides. All four players that Elway has franchise tagged in years past went on to sign a multi-year extension with the Broncos before the preseason was over, and there's no reason to believe that the same won't hold true for Simmons. Elway made an early splash by acquiring cornerback A.J. Bouye via trade last week, which helped fill one roster hole, but also had the collateral effect of perhaps further alienating free agent Chris Harris Jr. Obviously bothered by the move, Harris has importuned the likes of the hated Kansas City Chiefs to, quote, call his people, close quote, in the wake of the Bouye trade. Some beat writers aren't quite ready to write Harris off yet, but it would take a football miracle for him to return to Denver. That means the Broncos can't be done adding to the cornerback position because Bryce Callahan can't be counted on after missing all of 2019, and the depth behind him is frighteningly thin. Elway doesn't need to necessarily pursue a Tier 1 free agent cornerback like Byron Jones, but getting a hold of Prince Amukamara, a former Vic Fangio disciple who's now a straight free agent, would be wise. Speaking of defensive backs, Will Parks is also among those homegrown guys poised to depart in free agency. Although Parks has expressed an interest to remain in Denver, he's yet to hear word from Elway, which means he's going to hit the market. From the buzz I picked up, a reunion with Joe Woods in Cleveland or Vance Joseph in Arizona is likely in Parks' future. That brings us to the defensive line, where the Broncos have 3 unrestricted free agents. With regard to Adam Gotsis, we already have clarity. As he recovers from an ACL surgery, the Broncos are letting Gotsis go. The former second-round pick of the team isn't expected to be healthy enough to play by week 1 and has likely played his last snap in Denver. Shelby Harris is viewed as a fringe Tier 1 free agent and is seeking a contract commensurate with that. Harris is expected to command somewhere between $11 and $13 million per year, and while there's a lot we don't know about the Broncos' plans, one thing we can say is that Harris isn't worth that type of cheddar to Elway and company. Harris is bound for the market, where it's a solid bet to wager that he lands in Indianapolis. Derek Wolfe is last amongst this D-line group, but first in the eyes of the Broncos. Wolfe wants to remain a Bronco after spending his first 8 years with the club and winning a Super Bowl. Although the market for Wolfe has heated up since the Combine, it would be an upset if Elway didn't swoop in and make Wolfe an offer he can't refuse. So long as Wolfe views it as a fair offer, he'll accept. Lastly, the Broncos let Ronald Leary go by declining his 2020 team option, while Connor McGovern is poised to be an unrestricted free agent. At the Combine, Elway expressed a desire to talk to McGovern, but it's unlikely a deal will be struck before the legal tampering period opens on March 16th. There's a good chance McGovern will find suitors willing to pay him like a top 15 center, which would put him around $9 to $11 million per year. Elway has never paid a center, so doing the math, it's unlikely McGovern re-signs, especially since the Broncos believe in the coaching ability of Mike Munchak to raise all ships on the offensive line. Look for Patrick Morris to be the biggest beneficiary of McGovern's likely departure. It would behoove the Broncos to get these deals done now with whichever homegrown guys they're interested in bringing back for multiple reasons. One, it prevents the player from hitting the market and shields the Broncos from having to openly compete with outside suitors. And two, the quicker Elway can get clarity on the homegrown guys, the more prepared the Broncos will be to attack the outside free agents, knowing exactly what the team's budget is. Get ready, because considering how much ammo Elway has to deal, the 2020 free agent period could end up rivaling the phenomenal 2014 class, all 4 of whom would go on to Pro Bowls as Broncos and help bring home a world championship. Elway got that class locked in with less than half of the cap space the Broncos are expected to have once Flacco is jettisoned. For Mile High Huddle and Sports Illustrated, I'm Chad Jensen.